Mauricio Umansky posts revealing looks at his life now, May 2025. After revealing his plans to go on a trip around the world, Mauricio Umansky has been keeping his fans up to date on his travel itinerary. One of his stops along the way included Australia, where Mauricio not only spoke at a conference, but also went swimming at the beach, posting a shirtless selfie to Instagram, along with photos that highlighted the serenity of the moment during his solo trip. "Let's Gooooo," the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills husband captioned the selfie. Mauricio, who is currently navigating his split from Kyle Richards, was also in town in the land down under to speak at the AREC 25 conference, which is dubbed as Australasia's greatest real estate event. Mauricio reflected on having the chance to share with other real estate pros his own business philosophy. "Thank you to AREC 25 conference for having me. I hope you all enjoyed my keynote today, and thank you for incredible hospitality." He reflected on Instagram about taking the stage at the event. "This conference had amazing speakers, happy to be included amongst the best." Mauricio Umansky shares an update on his long road to recovery after surgery. Mauricio has also been keeping his followers up to date on how he's been healing after he broke his clavicle and underwent surgery in February of this year. Long road to recovery. It's about the journey and the attitude. I feel blessed and lucky. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in life. I got saved. Thank you again to Stedman Orthopedic. You guys are the best. Thank you to Aspen Valley Hospital, the ski patrol, and the paramedics. XX, he shared back in February after the accident. More recently, he revealed that he's been in the gym working on getting strong again. "Working hard at getting the shoulder strong again. 9 weeks since my accident. Let's Gooooo." Inside Mauricio Umansky's life today. In addition to traveling, healing, and working in real estate at his firm, the agency, Mauricio has also been busy as a dad to his daughters, who he shares with Kyle. Most recently, Mauricio celebrated daughter Alexia's engagement to Jake Zingerman at a party held at the family's home in Encino. He's also been candid about where he stands with Kyle today, since they announced their separation in 2023. "We talk all the time," he confirmed in a recent conversation with Briefing on Bravo. He also shared that things are amazing between them. "I love her," he further shared. Mauricio Umansky posts revealing looks at his life now, May 2025. The sun had barely risen over Bondi Beach when Mauricio Umansky hit the shoreline, the salty air catching in his lungs like a morning espresso. With each wave that rolled toward the coast, it felt like the tide was washing away more than sand. It was clearing space in his mind. He pulled out his phone, the morning light bouncing off the water, and snapped a selfie. Shirtless, tan, and grinning, Mauricio captioned it with his signature catchphrase, "Let's Gooooo." The post would later rack up hundreds of thousands of likes and more than a few heart-eyed emojis. But in the moment, it was just about marking time. The here and now. This wasn't just a vacation. It wasn't even a sabbatical. This was a conscious step away from the chaos, a self-imposed world tour with a simple goal: rediscovery. Bondi beginnings. Australia had always fascinated Mauricio, a place that matched his energy, a continent of adventurers, surfers, and entrepreneurs. It made perfect sense that one of his first stops on this trip around the world was the land down under. He wasn't just surfing waves, he was surfing momentum. At AREC 25, Australasia's top real estate conference, Mauricio took the stage in front of thousands. Sleek suit, confident stride, and that signature smirk, he talked about building the agency, about creating an empire rooted in authenticity, luxury, and hustle. "Real estate isn't just about property," he told the crowd. "It's about people. It's about passion. You've got to lead with heart, not ego." Backstage, he was mobbed for selfies by young agents and seasoned brokers alike. But it was the quiet conversation afterward with a 24-year-old Aussie agent named Noah that stayed with him. I got into this because of your show, Noel said. But I stayed because of your story. The way you lead, with honesty, even when it's messy, it matters. Mauricio nodded, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. The messy parts are where the real lessons live. Healing in motion. Just 3 months earlier, Mauricio had lain flat on his back in a hospital bed in Aspen. A skiing accident on a black diamond trail had shattered his clavicle and shaken his spirit. Long road to recovery, he'd written in a vulnerable Instagram caption back in February. It's about the journey and the attitude. I feel blessed and lucky. The accident had been a wake-up call, not just physically, but emotionally, for someone used to moving. At 100 miles per hour, being forced to slow down was torture, but it also created the space he didn't know he needed. At Aspen Valley Hospital, through the haze of painkillers and surgical beeps, he had time to think about the things that had been buried in the back of his mind, the separation from Kyle Richards, the questions from their daughters, the strain of running an empire, while feeling like he was losing the core of who he was. Now, 9 weeks out from surgery, Mauricio was back in the gym, carefully, focused, working hard at getting the shoulder strong again. He'd posted with a video showing him doing controlled resistance exercises. Let's Gooooo. Every rep, every stretch wasn't just physical therapy, it was symbolic. Rebuilding strength, rebuilding self, love, loss, and everything in between. Kyle's name still came up a lot, and why wouldn't it? They had built a life together. 4 daughters, a home, a showbiz dynasty with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as a cultural timestamp. We talk all the time, Mauricio told Briefing on Bravo in a recent interview. Things are amazing, actually. He wasn't lying. They weren't back together, not in the traditional sense, but the mutual respect remained. The shared history wasn't erased just because the marriage evolved into something else. I love her, he added, a soft note in his voice. The fans had their theories. Some rooted for a reunion, others for a fresh start. Mauricio wasn't focused on what the public wanted. He was focused on what felt real. And right now, that was connection without confusion, love without labels. Their daughter, Alexia, was engaged now to Jake Zingerman, a smart, kind-hearted guy Mauricio genuinely liked. The engagement party had been held at their family's Encino home, a warm evening under strings of lights with laughter echoing off the pool. Mauricio gave a toast. To building, he said, raising his glass. Not just homes, but lives. Love isn't perfect. It's a practice. Keep showing up for each other. Kyle had smiled from across the lawn. That smile, the one he'd known since their 20s, still held chapters he could never forget. The world expands. After Australia, Mauricio's passport filled rapidly. Bali, Tokyo, Milan, Marrakesh. Each place had its own rhythm, its own way of teaching him something new. In Bali, he meditated at sunrise and met a healer who told him, "You are at the middle point, the space between release and rebirth." In Tokyo, he wandered side streets alone, eating ramen at midnight and marveling at how being anonymous could feel like freedom. In Milan, he visited the Duomo and felt overwhelmed by centuries of craftsmanship. "You build legacy one brick at a time," he mused in a story caption. In Marrakech, he got lost in the souks, bargaining for leather journals and handcrafted rugs while absorbing the electric swirl of color and noise. One night, around a fire at a desert camp, he confided to a fellow traveler, a divorced architect from Barcelona, that he was afraid of what came next. After the marriage, after the fame, he admitted. The architect handed him a glass of wine and said, "It's all just chapters, my friend. The book isn't finished." Back to the agency. Despite the globetrotting, Mauricio never truly stepped away from work. From airport lounges and beach villas, he continued to lead the agency, now a global brand with offices in London, Dubai, and soon Singapore. Zoom calls at odd hours, quick decisions about hiring, revisions on branding campaigns, He thrived in the chaos, even more now that he was operating with clarity. At a recent board meeting in Beverly Hills, his team noticed the difference. "You're lighter," said Billy Rose, his longtime friend and co-founder. "Because I'm not holding on to things that aren't mine to carry anymore," Mauricio replied. He'd also started mentoring more young agents, leaning into the role of sage guide rather than just CEO. "Real estate's changing," he told a group of new hires one morning in West Hollywood. "But the fundamentals, passion, grit, relationships, those don't go out of style." He paused, then added with a wink, "And don't forget to live your life too. Don't wait until you're injured to take a breath." Moments in motion. In May 2025, Mauricio sat on a balcony in Santorini, the agency stretched like silk beneath him. The sun was dipping into the horizon, casting gold across the cliffside. He posted a video of the moment, just the waves, the breeze, the stillness, no words, no tags, just presence. And then, a surprise. Portia, his youngest daughter, popped into the frame holding a plate of baklava. "Daddy," she said, laughing, "you're missing dessert." He turned the camera, revealing a family reunion in progress. Kyle had flown in with their daughters to join him for a few days. It wasn't a reconciliation, but it was something equally important: continuity.